你是不是想到一些伤心的事儿？能不能告诉我呢？是不是不知道应该怎么讲给我听？现在可以讲了吗？好。
A brighter summer day is a substantial visual footnote to that sensitive and turbulent period. Together with Hou Xiaoxian's childhood and other works, we can outline Taiwan's under the Kuomintang during the 1960s in images presented by different directors. In the film A Brighter Summer Day, Guilin Street is intended to be larger than the teenagers, and the teenagers are larger than the murder. The environment takes precedence over the people, which is what Yang devoted his efforts to restore, to make the audience feel close to the characters in that circumstance. As the Kuomintang withdrew from Taiwan, the entire Taiwanese social elite was infilled by mainlanders who had settled here in an imperious manner. The irreconcilable conflict between the locals and the expatriates is crystallized in the film through the silhouette of a violent bloodbath in the darkness of the night. Yet both the locals and the expatriates are victims of the White Terror. A deep cultural clash is the life of a film, and Edward Young possesses the ability to strike at the heart of people precisely with the most prosaic shots. The fixed camera positions and panoramic shots constitute almost the entire film. The movement and shifting of the camera are blunt. It has nothing to do with satisfying the viewer's curiosity. We just watch in silence from across the street, where everything seems to be predetermined and objective, and all we can see is the mundane and trivial life, the world, and of course, the violence. The violence is not just a bloodbath between provincials and expatriates. Unlike the rhythmic and breathless action in other movies, the realism follows every corner of the film. The gang battles in dim light, overwhelming bullying in the schoolyard, the oppressive political environment in which Zhang Zhen's father is tortured, and the Guilin Street murders which have remained in film history. The violence doesn't just stay between physical bodies either, as Yang puts his doubts and questions about the world into Zhang Guozhu's flesh, which is then stuffed into Zhang Zhen's body in a chilling and brutal way. Practically in every production, Yang puts his predicament into his characters and starts to perform with such doubts, starts to build a relationship with the world, or refuses to do so. In any case, whether they find the answers they are looking for or not, the questioners leave at the end of the screening, and people will live in a moment of contemplation, then return to their regular, empty lives. In A Brighter Summer Day, the hostility generated by the failed attempts in seeking answers runs through the entire film, as nearly all of the characters move towards self-destruction either voluntarily or passively. Zhang Zhen's struggle and pain are reflected in his clumsy but pretentiously light steps, embodied in his unnatural, self-pulling stance in the face of adults. In those turbulent times, he was more like a tightrope walker, with Honey standing at one end and Xiaoming at the other. The appearance of Honey lets Zhang Zhen see a beam of light resisting the world and the rules with his frail body. He doesn't have the mental maturity to break away, but not without ambition either. If Honey is fighting against the rules, then Ming will become the rules themselves. She never changes herself just like the world did. She is dedicated to the rules of the world and does only what is right for her amid these constraints, knowing full well that her class and background give her sufficient moral insurance, so she never crosses the line. Hani and Xiaoming, their influence on Zhang Zhen as a teenager is far greater than the stark, stern history of the period. When one pole is unbalanced, all Zhang Zhen can do is run as hard as he can to the other, and for 4 hours, we witness a teenager stumbling towards self-destruction, which is extremely inhumane. History is probably the only key to deciphering Zhang Zhen's motives for killing, but then it makes our history seem unusually weak and pale. In other words, if the film used social history to establish clear cultural coordinates, to locate characters and events, to reason about motives and directions, then the periods behind the story will be relegated to a complete backdrop of the film. We need both the courage and patience to confront the lives in the film, to experience the state of mind of Zhang Zhen and others at that moment, rather than relying on historical messages for urgent answers. Each era has its sorrow and greatness. The humble bend their backs and listen to the thunder of the wind. However, the brave and pure take their bodies and ideals to knock at the heavens. They choose to rise or fall from within. Hani, Zhang Zhen's father, and the little Elvis in the story, all of them hold on to their hurts and beliefs about the world, but they all walk into the most tragic end. Time will always flow and eras will change and progress. There will never be a shortage of people like Zhang Zhen in any era. Their brighter summer day will soon come.
Yes, I love you. I always love you so. Why? Because you love me.